Welcome to my book preview. This is chapter 4. Bully number 3, your best is not good enough. If you get anything from this book, anything at all, please walk away with the knowledge that your best is good enough for you, your family, and your higher power. This inner bully, your best is not good enough, loves to beat up on everything you do. It discounts every effort, every accomplishment, every aspect of your looks, the words you say, and the very essence of you. This bully feeds off of insecurity and pride. It likes to anchor itself into a very deep part of your brain, and it loves to sing to its own tune on repeat. However, it's not impossible to beat down. You can do it. You can clear it out. Your life will turn 180 degrees when you do. I've mentioned this before, that as a young child, I was fortunate to have parents that helped me see the good in myself, to recognize that being me is okay, and even more than okay. It's great to be me. Still, this bully of you're not good enough was something I had to beat down. I had to battle this same bully in very specific ways when I was older. The verbal abuse from my classmates growing up planted this tiny seed of doubt in myself, in my ability to be successful, to be loved, to be in love, to find love, to compare myself, to judge myself, and to wish I looked and acted different at times. I worked at a girls' home after college. Best job I ever had because I became a part of the girls' transformations. The system they had set up was based on the philosophy that if we could help the girls learn values, we could then help them change their behavior. Many girls and boys' troubled youth facilities focus on the environment to change behavior. For instance, some programs will take kids out to the wilderness for weeks or even months at the time to change behavior. Some programs are very militant in dress and order, and they try to change behavior that way. The program I worked for focused on one's beliefs about themselves so that they would change from the inside out. This truly is the only way to see lasting change. I can remember one girl, I'll call her Annie. We were at a service project at the local church food warehouse canning facility. We did a lot of service with the girls in hopes that they would see the value they bring or can bring to a community or a life, and therefore improving their self-image and belonging. Well, Annie wasn't having it. She thought she was above the task of sweeping and mopping the floors. Her attitude was terrible and affecting the other girls. I pulled her aside and sat knee to knee with her. I began to tune into her intuitively. She was frustrated on the outside, but I could tell she was a bottled-up tear volcano on the inside. She was 13 years old, so being emotional was not a new thing for her. We began to have a conversation that would change her life and mine. I asked her what was going on. She explained she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to have to do this or do that, and she just hated doing service when it meant cleaning. I walked her through how the facility ran on service. No one there received pay, and everyone had to choose to be of service for it to create service for others. At that point, I wasn't getting anywhere with her. In my newbie skills of being a mentor, I quickly realized that I was on the wrong path by teaching her, and lecturing wasn't going to work. She had already tuned me out. I said a little prayer and then asked her, "Does what you do matter?" Her immediate response was, "No one cares about me or what I do. My parents just stuck me in this place. They don't care. No one cares." I asked her, "They don't care or you don't care?" She looked at me with this pondering look. She was having a thought collision for sure. I asked her again, "Does what you do matter?" She tried to sidetrack and say that mopping and sweeping floors doesn't matter to anyone. I quickly brought her back to herself because she was stuffing emotion at this point, and I knew in my heart we were on the right track. I asked her in a little different way, "Do you matter?" She began to cry. Those tears were unstoppable. Because she was crying, I was crying. She said to me, "I want to matter, but I feel like I don't matter to anyone." At this point, I really just wanted to pull out my church-related beliefs, but in this setting, we weren't allowed to. So I had to branch out and get her to realize she mattered without bringing God into it. So I said another prayer in my heart. Help me to help her see how she is of value. From here, I feel like it wasn't me speaking. I feel like I know that it wasn't me, but rather my heavenly help that was there feeding my mouth with inspiration. Because how do you get a 13-year-old girl with zero self-esteem to see that she's of value and she matters? The only way to do it is to get them to crack open to a humble, teachable state. Remove the bully and fill it back up with good. I spoke, she listened, she cried, I cried. I remember using an analogy of a marble. Marbles all look different. Some are colorful, some are glass, some are big, some are small, and so forth. I made the point that even though we're different, we can all do great things. That inside her was a soul that was so worth every breath she took. It was worth all the diamonds in the world and beyond. She was of worth, and she mattered to me. She couldn't hold back the sobs of the belief bully leaving her. She had believed for so long that she had zero value, that her best wasn't good enough, that every time she looked in the mirror she saw a hollow shell of a person whose actions didn't matter. Her inner bully was feeding her lies upon lies that were damaging her identity. Here's the truth I want you to know. You are of worth. You are of value. You matter. Your actions make a difference to everyone around you. Your presence is wanted. Your words are powerful. You make people happy just by being you. You are a blessing to this world. You are connected to a higher power that made you and loves you. You have talent. You are attractive. You are you, and that is good enough. Say it out loud. My best is good enough for me, my family, for my higher power. Here's an activity to help you fill up this belief cup. Write on 30 sticky notes. I am special. Post them everywhere. On your ceiling, above your bed, next to your bedpost, side of the TV, mirror, above the toilet paper, above the shower head, on the microwave, windows, car, and workspace. Place them everywhere you will look. Don't write, you are special. Make sure you write, I am special. Because when you read it, you'll be saying it to yourself. I am. Claim this statement as your own as often as you see the sticky notes for 3 weeks. The difference this will make in your brain and belief system will be astounding. You may think it's too simple of an exercise. Well, if you think that, then write 60 post-it notes to yourself. Report to me by email or social media after 3 weeks and tell me the change you feel within. It's the simple things that matter most. Changing thought patterns with positive words is an easy thing you can control, but sometimes we don't know what to say or how often to say it to make the change for better. Repetition has a surprising effect on our inner bullies. Just as they're fighting you with fierce repetition and thought, you must fight back with the same pace or you will let them win. Your worth is not based on your looks, what you have, what car you drive or don't drive, how your home looks, what you own, how you dress, or what trophies you've won or haven't won. When you strip all that away, what's left? Your character, your integrity, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your essence. These are what matter. This is why you matter. You are a soul so different from everyone else that has lived or will live on the earth. You are unique and special. You have a purpose to live and be you while on this earth. This is what matters. All that other stuff is stress and obstacles that keep you from seeing your true identity. Inner bullies hate it when you strip down to your inner self. When you embrace your inner child, when you play and have fun with your life, when you let your 4-year-old self dance to music and sing at the top of your lungs, it can't combat with you. The inner bully retreats in the face of fun. So have more fun. Give it the beatdown. Bully number 4. Success is based on how you look. About 4 years ago, I got into network marketing. The company based its foundation on the principle of health and wellness. At this point, I had 6-month-old and hadn't lost any of my 50 pounds I gained while pregnant. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was an emotional wreck, but I chose to join because I felt inspired to. Well, it was more like being yelled at over and over by my heavenly help to do it as a business until I gave in. I was a little stubborn. I thought I'd just be selling product, but little did I know this would be the beginning of my personal development journey. I had heard the word self-help before, but I'd assumed it would be for all those other people without religion. I didn't need self-help because it would mean I wasn't relying on my higher power for the truth about me. Little did I know, this was completely opposite of what I would learn and come to know about personal development. And that it would actually cause me to develop skills so I could co-create with my higher power and manifest what I want faster. One of the first bullies I ran into while working my business was all successful women are skinny. That I didn't, quote, fit the mold, and I would have a harder time building my business. After all, who would want to listen to a person who was fat? I honestly believed this. Logically, it makes sense. Who wants a personal trainer that is fat? Who wants someone to teach them about essential oils for health and wellness who doesn't, quote, look the part? You may be struggling with this bully, that success is based on how you look. The belief bully that says, you can't do this because you look like you. No one loves you because you look like. Your success is based on how you look. No one wants to listen to a person that looks like you. Basically, these inner bullies suck. Like they literally suck the momentum right out of your success sales. Your income is not based on your looks. Your income and success is a direct correlation to your self-confidence and self-love. People buy your energy before they buy your product. Your level of self-love determines your ability to care for yourself. At the very basic of all living, there is self-love. Without it, you don't care about food, sleep, water, or shelter. Without that level of living, you don't care about your safety or order. And without that, you don't care about belonging to the human race. And then you don't care about accomplishments or giving back to the community and the human race. This is why I say self-love determines your success. Self-love is not the reason for your success or failure, but you cannot have lasting success without a true knowledge of who you are and that you like who you are. Liking who you are is a journey. This is where I get really passionate. I'm a huge advocate for empowerment. Helping you see who you really are and that you are loved is one of my life's missions. I like to call myself an empowerment mentor or an essence mentor. I feel like this bully of liking myself resurfaces at the time major life changes are here. You know my history of bullies growing up. I chose at a young age before junior high, thankfully, that I liked myself. Because of this decision, I attracted good friends. I had someone to tell me once in my teenage years that you will be a joy to those who know and understand you. This sentence changed my view. I didn't have to have everyone like me. All I had to do was be myself, and then those who took a chance to know me and understand me would like me, because I would be a good influence on them. When we're younger, we think, I want everyone to like me. But when you're older, it switches to, man, I wish someone would like me. I find this bully of your looks determine your likableness just makes adults shut down and stay shut in. Social media does not help the matter. I think identity crises are happening every day to people of every age. We focus on the midlife crises, but this identity plague is everywhere. Am I how I look? Am I what I do? Am I who likes me? Am I the labels I carry around? Am I the baggage or am I my weight? The simple answer to who am I should be, I am my character. Your integrity to yourself and others is a part of that. Your actions when you are alone are a part of that. Your thoughts about yourself and words about others you speak are a part of that. Your relationship in depth and breadth are a part of that. Self-nurturing behavior is a part of that. Self-love is all of that. When you start to beat down this belief bully that believes you are everything else besides your character, your empowerment level rises to the nth degree. You want to know a sign when I know I'm in good character space and self-love space? It's when I randomly start to sing or dance. When I'm feeling down and my character energy is low, I don't sing out randomly or want to dance. For me, this is how it shows up and is an indicator of inventory. Also, an indicator of increased character energy is the cleanliness of my house. Things have a place and they're put there. I want people to come over and be social. I start to get thoughts about how I can improve my physical image with eating habits and working out. I just feel lighter. I think self-love and character go hand in hand. The search and work we do in improving our character will never go unnoticed and will never go unrewarded. Bully number 5, comparison and judgment. I was at a 4-day speaking conference, and for one of these exercises, we had to get up and introduce ourselves in 2 minutes to a group of 6 people. That wasn't hard. The hard part was the lesson I learned that day about judgment and comparison. I've always struggled with pride. I think everyone does in one form or another, but I'll just admit it right up front. Pride is one of my greatest flaws, and come to find out from this experience, judgment is a huge part of that flaw. I didn't realize it because I was blind to the side effects of pride, but judgment and comparison is separation energy at its finest. After I introduced myself and sat down, a man stood up to introduce himself. He was very short, probably only 5 feet 4 inches tall. He had big eyes and a round button nose. His hair was blonde, and when he talked, it was a high tenor voice. My brain immediately went into comparison mode and found that he resembled the cartoon character, Fix-It Felix, on the Disney movie, Wreck-It Ralph. Just give the man a hammer, some overalls, a building to fix, and he'd fit the part. Of course, I made this judgment and comparison within the first 5 seconds, and 10 seconds later, I tuned him out. From what I caught, he was a dad, he had 6 kids, blah, 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 and then I trailed off into not listening mode. In my mind, he was a cartoon character, and everything he said, I just wanted to giggle at, but of course I didn't. I just sat there in judgment. He continued to speak, and then he said something that made my ears tune back to him. He told his story about how he had almost lost his family and marriage to a porn addiction, how that made him tune into the power of his brain to overcome the addiction and pay off his $325,000 mortgage in just 1 year. He healed his addiction, his marriage, and became a present father. Immediately, I pulled back my judgment. In an instant, I had respect for this man, not only for what he had done, but for the lesson he had taught me. I was judgmental. Woo! I never admitted that to myself before. I never realized how that had affected my relationships before this time. I had never wanted to admit how that affected my relationships, including the one with myself. I went up to him later and asked if I could apologize to him. He had a curious look on his face. I asked him if he had ever heard of the cartoon character Fix-It Felix. He looked even more puzzled. I started to tear up and thanked him for sharing his story. I expressed my apology and my thanks to him for teaching me a lesson he didn't even know he was teaching me. He was surprised. He had never been told he looked like the cartoon character. That didn't much matter. But he was grateful he had been a part of my growth as a person. When I went home, I began to notice how judgment and comparison had lurched its way into my existence and permeated my relationships. I had to take a good inventory of myself and admit the damage this inner bully was causing. I began to get to work on this bully. No way was I going to let it get between me and my lasting relationships. The energy from judgment and comparison is that of a low, low frequency. Every time you hear or speak a judgment, don't you just feel gunky? Like a smoothie that's been sitting too long in the heat. It's just yucky. Sometimes I think we're numb to the effects of it. I know I was. It took a huge wake-up call for me to realize the burden it was to judge and compare. As women, this is a constant battle for us. Social media is the worst culprit for comparison and judgment. It's actually been proven that women who are active on social media have lower self-esteem than those who are not. The reason is we fight this inner bully of judgment and comparison every time we're on it. Social media is the plethora of happy times posted for all to see. It's not an accurate representation of how a person is really doing or what they're really going through. Again, everyone is struggling with the identity crisis at one level or another. I think the things that are hard about this bully are the emotions of guilt, shame, and envy that accompany judgment and comparison. I'm not going to lie, seeing a mom who gives birth and then a month later is back in her pre-pregnancy clothes makes me envious, and sometimes I feel guilty. Or these women who post about motherhood and how they got their entire house clean while taking care of their infant makes me feel guilty. The trap is set every time you look at others in comparison. The trap is that we think that this person is a nice, shiny, newly wrapped package with a beautiful bow on top. In reality, we cannot see their crap hidden behind that shiny box. Guess what? Their crap stinks just as much as yours does, and they have their own bullies they're dealing with just like you. The problem is we compare what we see. We judge what we see with our physical eyes. If we could see with our intuitive eyes, every time we look at someone else, our judgments would never be. Instead, we would see what they're capable of, what good they can do, and what awesome personality they have, and that we have. Try looking in the mirror and shut off your physical eyes. This doesn't mean close your eyes. This means look at you through your eyes. Instead of looking at your features, look deep into your soul and stare at it. Do this for 1 minute. Time yourself. You'll feel really uncomfortable the first 30 seconds, but keep going. Open your heart to hear yourself, and with your eyes, see yourself for who you really are, not in comparison of who you want to be or who others think you are. When you look, pause. Tell those bullies upstairs trying to get you to repeat awful things about yourself, "Thank you for sharing, but I'm committed to seeing myself for who I really am. Now leave." Being silent is the easiest way to identify what your inner bullies are saying about you. This would be a great time to write down what they are saying so you can get them out of your head. Nothing is more dangerous to your health than judgment. Over time, it makes you bitter, angry, and lonely. All these emotions play a huge role in gut health. If you're struggling in this area physically, take a look at the judgment and comparison you're saying to yourself and doing to others. I bet you'll find that when you actually take an accurate inventory of your behavior, you'll be disgusted with how it's affecting your relationships and your physical health. We need to. No, we get to be nicer to ourselves. Give yourself a break. When your bullies are coming at you in full force and you're feeling the word close in around you and you're full of guilt, shame, or anger, guess what you get to do? Take a break. Dismiss your bullies and start journaling or talking to your higher power. Get those negative voices out of your head and as quickly as you can. There's no reason you should have to suffer like that. You have the power to overcome all negative feelings. You have the power to overcome your emotions. You have the power to dismiss those voices that do not serve you and live your truth. You have the power to be your truth. Judgment and comparison cannot exist in the same sphere as your truth. You're either living it or you're not. You're either comparing your outside shell to others or you're not. You're either listening and seeing with your intuitive self or you are not. You're either accepting where you are at in progression and moving forward to change it, or you're not, by simply choosing to be stuck in your sludge. If you do not like the way you feel when you compare yourself to others, then stop doing it. Compare yourself to no one, not even yourself. Only celebrate where you've come from and where you are now, with no judgment of self. Let what others are saying about you roll off you like water on waxed fruit. They are only comparing their shells to yours. They have no idea who you really are inside, and if they did look with their intuitive eyes at you, they would not be judging you, my friend. They would be celebrating you. Rise above judgment. Rise above comparison. Turn yourself into an encourager of others, a lover of self, a standard of living your truth, a celebrator of your character and success. If you wish to understand others, look with your intuitive eyes at them, not at what they present to the world. Feel their heart, feel their soul. If we all took the time to look past our first impressions and judgments, the primacy-recency theory of communication would disappear, meaning the first impressions you make of people wouldn't have so much clout on how you treat them forever. Don't be me. Be yourself and celebrate you. I'm Brittany Fowler, and this has been a preview of my book, The Inner Bully Beatdown.